checking in no bag, shopping when we land. Big FN bag of ball. Plead the fifth if I get caught, they talk. Came through dripping on them, I been saucing.
So after looking at all these different types of trading strategies on YouTube, as you're browsing, as you're looking for something that you really want to see if it works or not, and if you can become a billionaire or a millionaire off of this trading strategy or sauce, you stumble upon so many different types of trading styles, and that's what I'll be going over today. Not trading styles, but strategy, right? So these different types of strategies, they offer different types of pros and cons to each one. And today I'm going to be doing a tier list of my personal experience. I've traded all of these types of strategies and giving you guys basically the gist on which one I think is the best and what you guys should be going for and which ones you guys should be avoiding. So stick to the end to see the entire results, but I'm going to be explaining throughout the video my personal experience trading each and every single one of these, as well as basically just based off the data that I've collected. So yeah, let's just get straight into it. I'm going to start off with trading indicators as the first pick, just because I think this one, a lot of people can self-explanatory. You hear a lot of people trading EMA crossovers, things like that. And if you ever hear anything called EMA crossover just by itself, it's complete BS on YouTube. You're probably seeing a lot of channels. I'm not gonna call specific names. Actually, I really don't care. I think his name is called the moving average or something, but I remember seeing a lot of videos on YouTube about trading EMA crossovers and SMAs and all this stuff. And it just doesn't work. I've coded a bot that takes trades off the crossover, and the profit factor was around 0.993, meaning it's basically a negative trading system that over a period of time is not gonna make you money, it's gonna lose you money. And that doesn't include live conditions such as spread and commissions. So it's going to be even worse while trading live. I just did a demo backtest with an algorithmic bot that I made. It's very easy to program an EMA crossover. Anyone can do it. If it was that easy, everyone would just code that or tell AI nowadays to code that for them and run it forever as passive income. Trading indicators, I'm going to say I'm putting this at D tier. I know there are people that do trade indicators that are actually successful, but most of the times these people are trading indicators with a combination of price action. And if not with a combination of price action, they're trading indicators that are custom coded, like the ones that I sell, the ones that I personally use. I use all four of my trading indicators every single day, and they're not the same as these EMA crossovers, SMAs, because they're not public indicators that everyone is using. If you gotta think about 90% are losing, right? So if you're using something that 9% people have access to, or that are accessing to for free, that's also why I don't sell my course mentorship stuff for free at all. I want to keep the strategy as exclusive as possible, only to select few that are really interested in changing their life around, right? So same thing with these indicators, man. These free indicators, majority of them are just BS, and unless they fit with their strategy, which involves some other elements to it. If your strategy is purely off, just an indicator telling you when to buy or sell, it's 99% times not going to work unless you incorporate some sort of price action or other elements outside of the indicator itself, because then you could program just off of the indicator itself, the nature of the indicator, to make basically infinite money passively. The difference is passive, right? In trading, when you're trading an actual strategy, you can make quote unquote infinite money, but it's active, right? You're actively putting in the time and effort to grow your trading account with that strategy. Passive is a way different thing. Passive is like a dream come true, where you just turn on the bot, let it run forever, and at some point you'll wake up within a few years to become a millionaire or billionaire. But obviously liquidity issues also rise for sure at that point. So yeah, it's not gonna be as simple, straightforward as you guys may think just by doing math. That's not how the real market works. So when I say trading indicators, I'm talking about mainly the free trading indicators offered. Next up, we do have price action. So what I say for price action is I'm gonna keep it a buck, boys. I'm gonna put it at B tier. And the reason why, a lot of people would trade off price action that are actually profitable. But the reason why I keep it at B tier is because there's something better than price action. If you guys don't know, by the way, what price action is, it's just how the market moves in terms of just looking at price, looking at candles. There's a lot of things like structure, market structure, trend. Those things are price action. It's anything related to how price is moving, relative strength, market structure, liquidity. Liquidity is something that actually I'm gonna put this. So smart money concepts is the next thing. I'm gonna put this at S tier, just because I think a lot of people hate on smart money concepts because it overcomplicates things, but I completely disagree with you. I think the market is complex in nature and that you should be learning as much as you can to trade. Why would you want to limit yourself to drawing like a few lines in your chart and thinking that's gonna make you a millionaire or billionaire and stand out from the other 90% of traders that are losing. You're not, right? You need to level up your game and understand the market. And I think that's what SMC and ICT concepts really do help with. They help you understand the market in a more mechanicalized way. Price action is like, bullish engulfing or different types of candle patterns also are considered price action. Different patterns that you see with these candles are considered price action. But in SMC and ICT, it's a lot more mechanicalized. For example, a fair value gap. It is 100% mechanical. You can program and code a fair value gap. I literally have an indicator that programs based off SMC concepts, zones, supply and demand zones from ICT, basically order blocks, right? That people call them order blocks. It specifically filters out order blocks as well through an algorithm that I'm not going to talk about inside the code in my indicator. But again, like I said, it keeps everything a lot more mechanicalized, and it builds a story behind why price is moving the way it's moving. And I think that helps a lot of people understand the market better and how the nature of the market works and how price draws towards certain areas of price. If there's no true or even logical understanding of the market, it's going to be very hard for people to emphasize with a certain strategy, right? And understand why they're trading that certain strategy a certain way. So that gets me straight into supply and demand zones. I'm going to be putting this with price action because I think supply and demand, actually, I'll put it at A tier. I think the thing is supply and demand is basically the same thing as price action. It's just a bit more specified, right? Keeping things as specific and mechanical as possible in trading is the best because you're learning more, and you're also keeping things less variable, meaning these variables in the trading, you want to keep them as constant or consistent as possible. You don't want these variables to be changing all the time. And if you're trading off something that's like very discretionary, like 80% discretionary, 50% discretionary, there's not something that you can really back test, right? Because everything's based on experience, which is not good. In my opinion, you should have some sort of solidified foundation for how you're trading, how you're viewing the market. And I think supply and demand zones help at least have something on your chart that price action doesn't, which is just reading off patterns. But supply and demand zones help you be more specific on where you should be buying, where you should be selling, and things like that. So I think supply and demand, because of that reason, I'm gonna put it at A tier. There's also people that teach supply and demand strategies online. I've heard good and bad reviews about them. I did try it for a little bit and it didn't work as well as I thought it would, so I stopped trading supply and demand purely. And so that's why I have now my own personal strategy that I back tested and it's proven to work. I guarantee you that it will work. Strategy 100% works. But yeah, last but not least, we have breakouts. Man, I'm gonna put this, honestly, I was thinking about putting it at C tier, but I'm gonna put it at B tier. And the reason why is, like I said, breakouts is a more specified mechanical version of price action. It's the ability to see price action, but also incorporate something that you're able to identify, like levels, supply and demand, areas where you want to see a breakout, essentially to the downside or upside. It keeps things a lot more mechanical, and I do like that. I really encourage people to be keeping things mechanical, especially if you're new. It'll be a lot easier to learn rather than gambling, right? But the only problem is breakouts, to me, the odds, like the win rate of breakouts is not that high unless you have a very small TP and stop loss. Then that is fine, right? Because wicks happen when breakouts occur. At least a wick will happen. I'm not confirming or guaranteeing a body closure will happen, but at least a wick will happen. So you could definitely most likely have a high win rate with breakouts. But if you're trying to catch like a huge breakout that you see these imaginary TikTok traders drawing on the chart, it doesn't happen that often to have that big of a breakout. And breakouts are indeed somewhat subjective because it depends on how you draw your lines, right? You could draw your lines horizontal, vertical. Well, you wouldn't have them vertical. It would just be horizontal or at like a degree, right? Drawing like a trend line, right? For example, you could have trend line breakouts, you guys support and resistance breakouts, supply and demand zone breakouts. There's all sorts of different types of breakouts. And I think it's a somewhat good way to view the market, but most times the market does fake outs, not breakouts. And so that's where SMC and ICT explain the logic behind is majority of times it's a liquidity sweep, or some people learn it as liquidity grab rather than a true breakout. So definitely something to be careful with. I typically do not trade breakouts at all. I remember learning them a long time ago, but after doing my own research, just spending time on the chart, majority of times it's going to be a liquidity sweep to the opposite opposing side. So you can even trade to make a strategy off of it. But again, breakouts to me just aren't the most favorable. So that's basically it for today's video, going over all these different types of ways to trade in terms of trading strategies. Hope you guys did enjoy basically this video. If you guys do want to learn my strategy, that is 100%, I'll guarantee you 100% profitable, and that works. You can even back test it once you learn it, and you'll see very, very great results, I promise you. You can check out the link down below, essentialtradersuniversity.com. It's the ETU 100 IR advanced course. That is the one that will be covering my secret strategy that I don't release to the public and no one talks about. I also have a one-on-one mentorship for those that really want handheld guidance, that think they do need that. Otherwise, you can just get the course, learn it, and then ask me questions, and I can always respond through Discord. And we do have a private group chat as well for other traders trading my strategy every single day. So I hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll see y'all in the next one.